home language. Our lesson today is going to be reading and viewing. Hello, hello, excuse me, I need to get the pronunciation of names correct. Miss Indubaldi is not available today to teach, so I'm filling in for her. And the lesson content for today is you're going to focus on reading. The lesson is to teach you how to focus on reading. Then reading and viewing guidelines. We're going to read a passage. That means I'm going to ask some of you to unmute yourselves, and I'm going to ask you to read. It is on full screen. Okay. And then you're going to talk about, we're going to answer the passage. Okay, so to recap on yesterday's lesson, what we did was, or what you guys did was, you did learn about prepositions. So a preposition basically is a word used to link nouns, pronouns to different words in the same sentence. So basically, prepositions are linking words. It tells you the order of where things are in relation to each other. Like, for example, the cat is sitting underneath or under the table. So it tells you where the cat is in relation to the table. So this is what prepositions do. It gives you perspective to tell you where things are. Like, for example, on, above, in, under, next to. So these are all linking words that makes the sentence more sensible, and it tells you where things are. They also are connected to people, objects, times, and location of a sentence. So the preposition basically links the people, the objects, the time, the location. It links everything together, so it tells you where things are. Okay, then you also learned about collective nouns, where the noun, you name certain words are referred to in a group, like a herd of a pride of lions, or a herd of sheep, or a group of monkeys. So these are collective nouns where they group certain things together. Then what you're going to learn in today's lesson is reading and viewing guidelines. So I'll teach you how to, when you're reading, give you guidelines on how to view them. Then you'll do a reading activity, and then we'll have a summary. Okay, so if you listen and don't type so much in the chat about yo and hey, then we'd be able to learn a lot more. So now reading guidelines are basically, you connect, okay, there's 6 reading guidelines. One is to connect, then the next one is to predict, then we monitor, then we question, we summarize, and evaluate. Who knows what connect means? Or rather, let me explain, and then I will ask you questions with referring to what these words mean. So connect means, what were you reading in other stories? Okay, so you're connecting it to information that you already know. So you're making a connection. Okay, so I think there's a problem with regards to my slides. Let me go out of it and then come back in, which will be able to help maybe make it better. Okay, if you can see my screen now, can you raise your hand? I hope this is a lot better. Okay, thank you so much. So I'm going to put it on full screen. I think there was a problem with regards to the just previously. but now I think it's solved because a few of you have raised your hands to say that you can see my screen. So now the reading guidelines, and you didn't miss much if you couldn't see my screen previously because I was just going over the table of contents, and I just told you what you learned yesterday about prepositions and collective nouns. So this is what was on the previous slide, if you weren't able to see it, but I think now it would be a bit better. So now, when you're going to read, you have to make connections. Okay, you're welcome. So when you make connections, it's what you already know about. It's the knowledge that you already have. So you're going to connect it to what you already know. So when you're reading, you basically associate the new information with what you already know, and to connect what you are reading with your experiences. So everybody in their life, they have different experiences. Okay, no two people have this exact same experience because the way you interpret things are different from other people. So when you read information, you connect it to basically stories that you've already heard about, then you connect it to the experiences that you've had as a person, and then you also connect it to what you are reading and what is happening in the world at presently. So you connect it to the current information that's happening at the moment. So after you make these connections, you start to predict and infer. So predict is the second guideline for reading. So when you predict, you're going to ask yourself questions like, I think this is about, or I know this um, because I heard about it before, or I inferred, and you use clues to find out what you think that the information or the story is about. So when you're going to read, you're going to make predictions because you already, when you look at the book cover, for example, you look at the pictures, it gives you clues as to what the story is about, what the information is about. So you start making predictions while you are reading, and it's your own thought processes. Yes, I taught you natural science this morning. So this is me. I'm filling in for your other two teachers because they said they're not well. Hello, how are you? So you saw me. I'm the HOD for intermediate phase, and I'm filling in for the teachers that were not well today. They will be back on Monday, so you can use the weekend to pray for them. Okay, so now you're going to monitor and clarity. Don't go. Why don't you stay? I'm teaching you so well. Okay, then the third guideline is to monitor, and when you monitor, you have clarity as a monitor, and clarity means that you need to clarify information. So basically what this means is when you're reading, so you're going to read and you're going to monitor the information that you're reading. And when you monitor the information, it gives you clarity as to what it is about, the story is about. You understand? So when you're reading, you don't just read. These are strategies that you're going to learn, and you need to learn when you're going to read. It allows you to comprehend what you're reading. Now, I know lots of people, they read and they say, yes, I've read the whole book, but they have no clue as to whatever they've read. It's because they don't have that knowledge to read to understand. And it's very important that you have to learn to read to understand, especially since you're going to higher grades. Now, in the lower grades, everything is spoon-fed for you. Teachers give you information, but as you go to the higher grades, you have to, and especially university, you have to start learning to find information and source information for yourself. And this means where you have these reading guidelines come in. So you have to read for comprehension, read for understanding. So you connect it first to the ideas you already have, and you infer and you predict, then you monitor and you clarify. Because sometimes when you read, the information that you already have may not be the same information that you are reading about. So when you're reading new information, it gives you new knowledge to clarify the misconceptions that we may have. So sometimes you may think certain things, but it's not really true. So we educate ourselves to find and clarify information of what really is true and what is not true. Now, when you read, you also need to question. You need to be a good investigator. So when you question, to be a good investigator, you need to ask, what happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? And who did it happen to? So that is 5 W's and 1 H. Right, so 5 W's and 1 H makes you a good investigator. So when you're reading, you need to constantly question yourself. What happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? Who did it happen to? Okay, so you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 W's and your 1 H. How did it happen? Okay, so this questioning gives you clarity as to information as to you are now receiving. Okay, so what would a teacher ask? I would like to ask the author and what you are wondering about. Okay, so this clarity gives you, these questions are asking, what do I need to get, when I'm reading this article, what information am I trying to find out? And then you obviously have your own thoughts and your own feelings. And then you can say, how does this relate to me? Then you need to summarize the information. Now, to summarize the information, you need to tell the most important parts of the story. The theme, so what is the story about? It must have a theme. So some stories would be romance, some would be about crime, some would be about scientific information. So each article that you're reading has a specific theme and it's related to different things. Okay, then you need to know what lesson is there in the story. So does it have a moral of the story? What's the moral of the story? What's the point of reading this? Because you read certain things because it teaches you certain lessons. And then you need to reflect, the most important thing, especially when you go to high school. Reflection is, I think. What do you think about it? What are your ideas about it? Because you as a person, you have the right to your own feelings, so you have your own ideas. Okay, so you need to summarize, and when you summarize, you must reflect about what you think it is. Then the last guideline is to evaluate. So when you evaluate, okay, now Michael says that he likes action and he likes sports. So those are things that Michael likes to read, things about action and sports. I like detective books. I like to read crime books. Then the last one is to evaluate. So to evaluate, how do you rate the reading material? That means, was it good? Was it fair? Was it excellent? Was it provoking? Did it engage you? Did it keep you captivated? And what was the author's style? Okay, Genevieve says that she likes fantasy books. Fantasy is very nice, especially when you go out to the movies and you see it. Now, imagine when you have to look at all those fantasy movies, but if you actually had to read the book, and reading is so much more exciting because it shares the person's feelings. It tells you how the people feel. And when you learn about how different people feel, it's actually a growing experience for you as a person, because you realize that people may feel the same way you do. People don't feel the same way you do. Malani likes to read education books and Maladine likes to read magic books. That's very nice. See, now even though we have this class, there's a diverse amount, different people in these books. Okay, Caleb likes to read science fiction books. So you already, there's so many of you here, but you all have different preferences. And because you all have your different preferences, you like different things. And you're going to make different assumptions, and you're going to evaluate and summarize things differently. And when you come together and you discuss it and you about your own ideas, then it makes things more interesting. Okay, so when you evaluate, so you're going to rate the author style. Is it narrative? Is it descriptive? Okay, Mallory likes different books, so she is versatile. She likes um, different kinds of readings as well. So when you're exposed to all kinds of books, then it improves on your knowledge. So you become more knowledgeable about more things. And so that is about reading. So who wants to read about Galileo Galilei? Who would like to read? Talia, I see your hand is up first. I'll allow you to um, unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and read. Okay, we'll take turns. So, okay, Genevieve, you start first. Read the first paragraph. And then after that, we'll get the next person to read.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Fine,
Michael
thanks.
can read the second paragraph, okay?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you start first, Genevieve.
Galileo Galilei was born in Pisa, Italy on the 15th of February 1564. His father, Vincenzio, was a musician and a mathematician. He was Galileo's teacher when he was 10 years old. At that time, the family moved to Florence. He attended a monastery where he studied Latin, Greek, logic, and religion.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's evaluate that paragraph. So what it said basically was Galileo, he was born in, it's telling you where he was born. So it's giving you a setting. Then it's telling you the time of the year that he was born. And then he told you what his father did. He was a musician and a mathematician. And his father basically taught him until he was 10 years old, and then they moved to Florence. And then he attended a monastery. Now, a monastery is a place that the Christians go to become monks, but maybe he attended a school that was a monastery. Right, Michael, you're going to read next.
In 1583, Galileo entered the University of Pisa to study medicine. He soon became fascinated with many subjects, particularly mathematics and physics.
Thank you so much. You guys read very well. I'm very proud of you. Okay, so now they're telling you in this year, he went to this university in Pisa where he decided to study medicine. And he was fascinated with medicine, especially, and he loved the subjects, maths and physics. Okay, so now we're going to have Mallory. You're going to read the next paragraph.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, and you, ma'am?
Good, thank you. You're going to read the next paragraph now.
In 1604, Galileo published the operations of the geometrical and military compass, revealing his skills with experiments and technological applications. He also constructed a hydrostatic balance for measuring small objects. That same year, Galileo refined his theories on motion and falling objects and developed the universal law of um, of acceleration.
Okay, very good. Well done. Right, so basically what this paragraph said that it gave you the year and it told you that he published the operations of geometrical and military compass. So he was very into math and physics. So he published information about a compass. And by this publication, it revealed his skills with experimentation and technological applications. Now, remember, in natural science, I did teach that to you earlier on. I told you when you learn to experiment by doing those investigations. It helps. Talia, I'll give you permission to unmute yourself. So when I click on you, if I tell you to speak, then I will ask you to unmute, then you can unmute yourself. Okay, so you need to raise your hand, and I see there are few people that have their hands raised, and the next slide, those children that have their hands raised would be the next ones to read. So now in science, when you learn the love to do experimentation, then you develop certain skills, and you become a good investigator. Okay, and due to experimentation, people learned information. They weren't just born with it. They did investigations, they experimented. When they experimented, now this has to do with science. You find new information, and you do that through trial and error. Like you're gonna say, okay, let me mix this and this, and let's see what I find. And through all of that, people learn through trial and error, through experimentation, and that's how Galileo developed the compass. Now, he also constructed a hydrostatic balance for measuring small objects. Okay, so he measured small objects with a hydrostatic balance. So hydro has something to do with water, and static would be something to do with like, you have static electricity. Now, that same year, Galileo refined his theories of motion and falling objects and developed the universal law of acceleration. So you could see now your interpretation. So I'm reading this passage. What do you already know? Who can pick up? Halamali, do you want to tell me what information have you gathered?
Ma'am, I already know that Galileo was born on 15 February 1564. His father was a musician and mathematician. He was into mathematics and physics. In the year 1604, he published the operations of geometrical and military compass.
Okay, see, awesome. So just from the information that you read, you learn more about people. Okay, and then you become encouraged. Also, you could say, you know what, if he could do all these things where there was hardly any technological equipment like how we have now, then with all the equipment we have now, then maybe I can become a good scientist and a good experimenter and do investigations. Okay, so who wants to continue reading? You can pick your hand up. Halamali, you can unmute yourself. And then Talia will do the next the next paragraph. And then Piwa.
Galileo is called the father of modern science. He discovered 4 bright stars revolving around Jupiter. Shortly after his discovery, he was appointed chief mathematician of the University of Pisa.
Okay, very good, well done. So here we know that because he studied and how do I say, he was the author of those books and stuff, he became the father of modern science. Okay, and he also discovered these bright stars revolving around Jupiter. And then he was appointed the chief mathematician of Pisa. Now, through his education, people recognized that he was a good leader, and that's why they improved his skills. Okay, Talia, you can read now.
In July 1609, Galileo learned about a simple telescope built by Dutch, and he soon developed one of his own. He found Venus had paced like the moon, proving it rotated around the sun.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, so in 1609, he developed a simple telescope. So he was fascinated with the outer space. He was fascinated with the stars out of space. which led to his curiosity of wanting to see how the stars revolved around a certain planet. So he decided he was going to develop the telescope to be able to look into space, okay, to magnify what he could see to make it more clear. Okay, Nomfundu, I'm going to ask you to read the next paragraph.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
I'm good, thank you.
In 1614, Galileo was accused of heresy for his support of the Copernican theory that the sun was at the center of the solar system. In 1616, he was forbidden from teaching these theories. In 1632, he was again commanded after his book Dialogue concerning the two chief world systems was published.
Okay, well done, thank you. So now in 1614, Galileo was accused of heresy. Now, basically, people, when he found out information, people didn't really want to accept his theories. Now, he developed a telescope and he could actually see into outer space. So, from his knowledge of what he gathered, he theorized, he developed this theory to say that the sun was the center of the solar system and all the planets revolved around the sun. Now, people didn't really want to accept that. Now, when something is new, especially in the old days, it's not so much now, but previously, people were all mindset. They only had one track mind. They weren't like how we think. They never used to think like how we think. We're more open minded because we exposed to different things. But their mind was just one track. If it was this was black and that was white and that is it, and you don't tell me anything else. So that was the mentality of the people in those days. So they didn't want to accept his findings. So what they did was they they um, he was forbidden to teach the theories. That means they said, no, you can't teach it because we don't agree with you. So these were the people that were in power that forbade him to teach his theories. And then in 1632, he was again condemned after his book, The Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems, was published. So he wrote a book talking about this two chief world system. So now the people again didn't agree with what he said, and they condemned him to say, we don't believe in you, we don't, and we're not happy with what you say. So they condemned him. Right. So let's see. We have the next slide. Who wants to read? Okay, Genevieve, you can read.
Galileo was summoned to life imprisonment after later reduced to house arrest at his villa in Arcetri. During his lifetime, Galileo had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. His girls were Virginia and Livia, who were both raised in convents, and his son. Vincenzio was named after Galileo's father. Galileo died January 8, 1642 in Arcetri near Florence.
Okay, thank you. Well done. Right. So the last paragraph basically told you that now, because of all his findings and his voicing his opinions of what he found, the people in authority, they summoned him to life imprisonment. Then later, what they did was they didn't imprison him; they sent him to house arrest. House arrest means that it's pretty much like lockdown. You can only stay at home, but and you can't go out. So you only have to stay at home and you cannot leave your home. So that's basically what house arrest means. So now during his lifetime, while he was in house arrest, he had 3 children and they went to convents. So now the fact that Galileo went to a monastery to study and then he sent his children to convents shows that he was a Christian, because Christians go to monasteries and to convents. and then he died in 1642. PY, your hand is up. You can unmute yourself.
Wait, ma'am, my hand was up because I wanted to read this passage.
Oh, okay. Did I not give you a chance to read?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I did. Okay. So what will you like to answer question 1? What is the main idea of the entire passage? Would you like to answer that question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can go ahead.
I think the main idea of the entire passage is the whole career of Galileo's life. Like what I mean is like when he was born and what he used to do and what his father also used to do when he was still young.
Okay, very good. Well done. Mallory, what do you think the answer should be? Your answer is correct. Mallory, yeah.
Ma'am, my answer is this passage is basically a record of Galileo's life and what he did. Actually, it's a summary of his life and what he did and what happened throughout it.
Oh, well done. Very good. Okay, so now when Mallory answered, he said that this passage is about. So can you see how he used part of the question to answer his question? He didn't just write what it was. He said he introduced it. This passage is about. And he gave it a summary of Galileo's life from start to almost end. It was a summary of his life. Then in number 2, underline the information that you think is important in each paragraph. So basically what they asking you in number 2 is to pick out the topic sentence. So when they say underline the information that you think is the most important in each paragraph, means that you need to look at the paragraph and pick out the topic sentence. So let's see, in paragraph 1, what do you think is the most important information? You can pick your hand up. Okay, Mallory. And then Hamamalani. Can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So I can see them. So the most important section in paragraph 1 is Galileo Galilei was born in Pisa, Italy on the 5th of February 1564, which basically just tells us when he was born and like all the important details of his birth. That's all about the first paragraph, but that's the most important line there.
Okay, so your topic sentence is telling you who it is about, and then later on it told you about his father, but all the other sentences, can you see, relate to Galileo Galilei. So that topic sentence is the first sentence, telling you who this paragraph is about. Okay, second sentence, second paragraph, what's the most important? I think Halamani's hand was up.
Ma'am, the most important thing for the second paragraph was that Pisa went to university and was most interested in mathematics and physics.
Very good, well done. So the second paragraph was where he went to university and what his passion was, so maths and physics. Tiwa, you want to do the third paragraph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, in the third paragraph, I think the main thing about it is that in 1604, Galileo published the operations of the geometrical and military compass and revealed his skills and experiments and technological applications.
Well done, very good. So in this paragraph, it tells you what he published And because he published this, it revealed his skills with experiments and technological applications. And then from this topic sentence, it expands as to more information about his skills of experimenting and being technologically advanced. Very good, well done. So we're going to move to the next slide, and then who wants to tell me what the most important information is in this paragraph here? Genevieve, you want to try? Or Lindy, Caleb, Mallory, Simpiwe, Talia, Treasure? Who wants to try? Piwa. Okay, Aunt Piwa, you can unmute yourself.
Ma'am, I think that the main topic about that paragraph is that Galileo was called the father of modern science, and he discovered 4 bright stars revolving around Jupiter.
Okay, very good. So the most important thing here is that he is the father of modern science. And he, so let's just say he is the father of modern science. And then this paragraph, we want to do Mallory, you can unmute yourself.
So, ma'am, the most important sentence here is in July 1609, Galileo learned about a simple telescope built by Dutch, and soon he developed one of his own.
Okay, very good. So now it's telling you that he developed a simple telescope. Now, the fact that he can develop a telescope means that he's capable of being technologically savvy. And this telescope shows you that now he learned the phases of the moon. Halamani, you can unmute yourself.
Ma'am, the most important part of the 6th paragraph is that he found out that the sun was at the center of the solar system and he was forbidden of teaching these theories.
Yes, very good. So now in this paragraph, Namfundu, why are you saying that in the chat? These guys are awesome. They're doing so well and they're participating in the discussion. Okay, so now we have Galileo. We're saying that he was forbidden from teaching his theories. That means that people didn't support him. Okay, so which is very disappointing on the people's part, I feel. Okay, so that's my opinion. So now can you see how I'm using one of those 6 guidelines to reflect? So reflect means it's my feelings about the people of those age. They were very condemning. They weren't open-minded and to new technology. So now they want you to write a brief summary of Galileo's work. So what you can do when you're going to write the brief summary is you're going to go to each paragraph and you're going to take out the most important points where you're going to write a brief summary. So who wants to try to write a brief summary? Anybody? Okay, Piwa, you can unmute yourself.
Ma'am, I think the most important thing for this section is that Galileo Galilei was born in Pisa, Italy on the 15th of February, 1564. His father, Vincenzio, was a musician and a mathematician. In 1583, Galileo entered the University of Pisa to study medicine.
Okay, Piwa, what we're going to do, can I interrupt you if you don't mind? So what
Yes,
we're going to do is we're not doing the important points in the paragraph, we're doing the important points in the whole passage. So you're going to take the important point from this paragraph, and that paragraph, and you're going to make your own. Can you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, try now.
Galileo Galilei was born in Pisa, Italy on the 15th of April 1564. And he also was and his dad was a
Okay,
musician and
leave out that his dad part, and you can say he attended a.
monastery where he
Okay,
studied Latin, Greek, logic, and religion.
and then next.
In 1583, Galileo entered the University of Pisa to study medicine.
Okay, then we're gonna go to the third paragraph. What you gonna
And
say here?
in 1604, he published the operations of the geometrical and military compass, revealing his skills in experiment and technological applications.
And then you can say this part here as well. That
And
same
that
year.
in that same year, Galileo refined his theories on motion and falling objects and developed the universal law of acceleration.
Very good. And then in this paragraph, what you gonna say?
Galileo was called Galileo was called the father of modern science, and he
Okay,
discovered four bright stars revolving around Jupiter.
and then
In
here.
six, in July
Okay, you
16,
can say. No, say this as well. It's fine.
oh,
Oh,
and
sorry. Okay, you're gonna say this part as well.
and he was a chief mathematician of the University of Pisa.
Okay, and then in this paragraph here.
In July, he learned about a simple telescope built by Dutch, and he soon developed one of his own.
Okay, you stop there and then you go to this one here.
In 1614, Galileo was accused of heresy for his support of the Copernican theory that the sun was at the center of the solar system.
And then
And
you do this part here.
he was again commended after his book, Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems, was
Okay, I'm
published.
gonna pause. I'm gonna interrupt you for 1 minute, right? So I noticed there's a few of you that's pronouncing this word incorrectly. So it's condemned. Condemned means that you look down upon someone. Okay, so it's condemned. Okay, you can continue now. The last paragraph you're concluding now to say what's your summary.
Galileo was summoned to life imprisonment, later reduced to house arrest at his villa in Arcetri. And
And then,
three children, and he had three children, two girls and a boy. His
okay,
girls were
very good. You can continue.
His girls were Virginia and Livia, who were both raised in convents, and his son Vincenzio is named after Galileo's father. And Galileo died on January 8, 1642 in Arcetri near Florence.
Okay, well done. I'm very proud of you. So by P-Web doing the summary and me guiding him, you basically learned how to write a brief summary of his work, taking out all the important information in each paragraph. And now Genevieve says, I know time's up, I've got 2 minutes. Genevieve in the chat said something very nice. And she said, here is a quote by Galileo. He said, all truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them. And that is so good. I'm so proud of you for finding this quote. So all truths are easy to understand once they are discovered, but we have to make it a point to just discover them. Okay, so now Michael said I had 1 minute left, in which time I bid you farewell. Enjoy the rest of your day on the weekend. And your teacher should be back on Monday. Pray that she gets well and have a lovely weekend. Bye, everyone.